Archangel Michael says, time is almost over. Heaven has been shouting your name for 48 hours. Open this before 12:00 midnight, or lose your miracle forever. My beloved child, hear me now. This is not a dream. For 48 hours, the heavens have echoed your name. Archangel Michael stands before the throne, sword ablaze. He whispers of a name written in divine fire. It is yours. Time is slipping faster than your heart can count it. The heavens have been trembling, calling for your response. Before midnight, your obedience decides your destiny. The angels have gathered in ranks. Your moment is near. They have shouted for your miracle, but silence delays it. Michael says, the door of favor will close at midnight. You are not here by accident. This message found you. Something ancient stirs, an answered prayer long delayed. Your name has been spoken in heaven's council of light. The question is, will you open what heaven has sent? Even now, Archangel Michael's wings move through the veil. He holds a scroll sealed in sapphire fire, your miracle code. Every second between now and midnight holds weight. He warns, if they delay, the scroll returns unopened. This is not superstition. It's divine synchronization. For 48 hours, heaven has been waiting on your yes. The balance of your promise and breakthrough hangs here. Can you feel the pull in your spirit? That is heaven calling. The atmosphere has changed. Something holy hovers near. Michael is not speaking of punishment, but of awakening. He calls you to reclaim what was lost by your hesitation. Your miracle is closer than your next breath, child. Before midnight, say I am ready aloud. Seal the moment. This message is not random. It is heaven's countdown. Hold on, because what unfolds next will shift your world. The next revelation carries the code that unlocks your door. Type I receive my divine alert in the comments. Blessing code 991 has been released for you tonight. Dearest soul of light, the hourglass of heaven is turning faster than ever before. Archangel Michael stands in the realm between the seen and unseen, holding the trumpet of divine urgency. The sound of your name has reached the edge of eternity, echoing through the chambers of heaven like thunder wrapped in mercy. He has been calling you, not to frighten you, but to awaken what was once buried deep inside your spirit. For too long, the distractions of this world have dulled the sound of heaven's voice. Yet tonight, the divine current is rushing toward you with unstoppable force. You are standing on the edge of a sacred collision between what was promised and what is now being revealed. Michael says, the delay has been broken, but obedience is the key. Heaven does not shout without purpose. When your name is announced before the throne, it means divine transactions are being prepared. The angels of record have been reviewing the timeline of your prayers, marking the exact hour when your surrender aligns with heaven's decree. You might not see the movement yet, but the realm of the unseen has already shifted. The moment you opened your heart to listen, the spiritual tides began to change. The gates of manifestation are now trembling under the weight of your yes. Every word that comes from Archangel Michael's mouth tonight is layered with destiny, soaked in divine oil, and sent to unlock your next chapter. But hear this clearly, my beloved one. The forces of resistance are aware that heaven has spoken your name. There are ancient spirits of delay that have tried to silence your breakthrough for years, whispering lies that tell you you've missed your chance. That time has already passed you by. Michael's voice cuts through that darkness like lightning, declaring no more. For the decree of the Lord stands unshaken. What belongs to you cannot be stolen unless you surrender it by unbelief. The moment you choose faith over fear, your miracle begins to move toward you like a river bursting through a dam. This is the moment of divine confrontation, when the angel of breakthrough meets the spirit of resistance, and the heavens wait for your agreement. Child of light, can you feel the pull? It's not just emotion, it's alignment. The same power that split the Red Sea and raised Lazarus from the grave is stirring the air around you right now. The countdown to midnight is not symbolic, it's prophetic. Midnight marks transition, the end of one season and the birthing of another. It's the moment when heaven rewrites the records of those who are willing to obey. Archangel Michael is saying, what you do before the clock strikes 12 will determine the sound of your tomorrow. That's why this message was sent in divine timing, not earlier, not later, but now, because this is your window of visitation. Some of you have been crying in silence, asking God, have you forgotten me? Michael answers, you were never forgotten. You were being prepared. There are promises that can only be delivered when your heart reaches the right temperature of surrender. The fire you've walked through was not punishment. It was purification. Every delay, every disappointment, every closed door was heaven's way of refining your readiness. The miracle is not delayed, it's timed. Tonight, heaven is calling for your activation. The shout that has been echoing for 48 hours is heaven's alarm clock, waking your spirit to rise and claim what has already been written in your name. And what is written is glorious. Michael is holding a scroll, glowing with golden fire. On it are words only heaven's light can reveal. Words like restoration, healing, abundance, and divine acceleration. These are not vague promises. They are heaven's currency, stamped with your spiritual signature. But he warns, if they do not open the scroll before midnight, the light will withdraw. This is not about fear. It's about opportunity. God's mercy opens doors, but faith must walk through them. To delay is to let darkness reclaim what heaven has already released. To act in faith is to cause angels to move with unprecedented speed. You are not powerless. You are the key that unlocks your miracle. Michael's presence is strong now. His wings shimmer with radiant sapphire light, each feather vibrating with divine purpose. He walks through the unseen corridors of your life, touching moments you thought were wasted, places where hope once died. Everywhere he steps, light appears. He says, you will recover the years the locusts have eaten. You will stand again where you once fell. You will see favor flow from places that once rejected you. Heaven's restoration is not partial, it's overflowing. But the command remains the same. Open your spirit, listen, and act before the final hour strikes. As the stars move silently across the night sky, heaven watches. Angels are poised at the gates, holding your answered prayers in their hands, waiting for your agreement. The clock of destiny is ticking, not in fear, but in divine rhythm. The atmosphere around you is charged with miracles waiting to manifest. The choice is simple yet profound. Will you respond to heaven's shout, or will you let the moment pass? This is your time, your hour, your divine intersection with eternity. Before the next revelation unfolds, still your heart. Breathe in faith, exhale fear. Something sacred is approaching. You are not too late. You are perfectly on time for your miracle. Type I open my scroll of light in the comments if this speaks to your soul. Blessing code 1133 is now active and moving through your timeline. Beloved listener, something extraordinary is unfolding in this very moment. Archangel Michael is standing between time and eternity, his presence igniting the air around you. The gates of heaven have not been silent these past hours. They have been vibrating with your name, crying out for your recognition. For 48 hours, heaven has been shouting in waves of light, declaring that your moment has come. Michael's sword burns brighter than ever, separating delay from destiny, confusion from clarity, fear from faith. He speaks again with divine certainty. The sound of your obedience will open what disobedience once sealed. These are not ordinary words. They are frequencies of deliverance, coded with divine DNA that your spirit can already feel. Child of destiny, understand this truth. Every time God prepares to release something monumental, time itself bends. The reason you have felt pressure, delay, or sudden emotional heaviness is because your soul has been brushing against the edge of eternity. The atmosphere has been rearranging itself to make room for what heaven wants to place in your life. The angelic realm is alive with motion, scrolls being exchanged, seals being broken, decrees being written. Michael stands at the center of this activity as heaven's general, ensuring that what has been promised to you cannot be intercepted. You may not hear the sound of wings, but you can sense it, a sacred vibration moving through your life, urging you to respond before the clock strikes midnight. Heaven's patience has a rhythm, and that rhythm has reached its climax. Michael says, time is almost over, and what you do next decides your future harvest. You see, heaven never warns without reason. The countdown is not meant to create fear, it's meant to activate readiness. There is a thin veil between where you are and what has been waiting for you, but that veil can only be lifted through obedience. If you listen and act now, divine intervention will step into your timeline like morning light breaking through night's last shadow. But if you hesitate, the scroll bearing your name will return to the archives of heaven, awaiting another appointed time, and that could be years away. That is why the angels have been shouting. They are fighting for your alignment. Michael's message carries both urgency and mercy. He says, tell them I am fighting for them even as they listen. The sword he wields is no ordinary blade. It is the word of God made manifest, cutting through spiritual fog and lies that have blinded your discernment. The enemy has tried to convince you that you are forgotten, that your prayers are lost in the vastness of heaven. But tonight, that deception collapses. The very fact that this message found you is proof that your name has not been erased, but exalted. You are seen. You are remembered. You are being summoned to stand in the light once more. Heaven's shout is your invitation to destiny. The miracles assigned to your name are not random blessings. They are divine responses written before you were even born. For every tear you've shed, heaven recorded a promise. For every closed door, another was quietly built in the background. Now, the spiritual clock points to your appointed moment. Archangel Michael holds the keys of release, waiting for your act of faith to unlock the final gate. He whispers now, declare your readiness aloud. Do not think it, speak it. Heaven moves when faith speaks. For in heaven, sound precedes manifestation. When you open your mouth, light follows. When you decree alignment, angels respond like lightning. Before the midnight hour, there are 3 actions you must take. First, forgive. Release the weight of old wounds, for bitterness blocks divine circulation. Second, surrender. Let go of control and open your heart completely to God's will, even if it terrifies you. Third, believe. Expect what heaven has promised, not weakly, but fiercely, as one who knows the King's word cannot return void. When you do these things, Michael says, the scroll will open fully and the oil of favor will flow. Your obedience will shift not just your present, but your entire lineage. Heaven's miracle is not a momentary blessing, it's generational restoration. Beloved, there is something else Michael wants you to know. Every time you declare faith publicly, darkness loses authority over your life. That is why this message asks you not only to listen, but to speak, to share, to declare. Heaven's power multiplies when light is shared. This message is not just for you. It's for every soul connected to your destiny. When you like, share, and comment with faith, you are spreading heaven's vibration across the earth. Each interaction becomes a divine ripple, touching hearts, breaking chains, and amplifying God's word in places your physical presence may never reach. When you subscribe and stay connected, you are joining a global remnant that carries the same flame of awakening. You are not just a viewer. You are a vessel of divine movement. Michael stands in agreement with you now. He lifts his sword toward the throne, and light bursts forth in every direction. He says, "Heaven has waited long enough. Their yes has been heard." The room around you may seem still, but in the spirit realm, celebration has begun. Trumpets are sounding, declaring your breakthrough approved. The miracle you thought was lost is already en route. Heaven has recorded your response, and time is bending to your obedience. Midnight will not be a moment of loss. It will be the hour of divine unveiling. You have not missed your miracle. You are minutes away from it. So hold your faith high, child of God. Let this message echo beyond your own heart. Share it, comment your declaration, and spread this word like holy fire. Let the world know that heaven still speaks, and that miracles still answer those who believe. Like this video, subscribe for more divine revelations, and help spread this light to others walking in darkness. Your small act of faith may be the spark that awakens another soul. Heaven records even the gesture. Type "I am ready" before midnight in the comments if this word resonates with you. Blessing Code 2201 is now active and releasing divine acceleration over your life. Now, as the angelic gates remain open, listen to this divine calling. When you give to this mission, you're not funding a channel. You're fueling heaven's reach. Every seed you sow becomes spiritual light sent into another person's darkness. The word says, "He who waters others will himself be watered." I declare that those who sow into this message will walk under open heavens. I personally invite you, yes, you, to take part in this divine movement. When you bless this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, the link is in the description, you are not donating. You are partnering with Archangel Michael's message of awakening. Heaven sees every act of obedience as a prophetic seed. The harvest attached to this seed will not delay. Step into it boldly, for your giving is not a gesture. It's a divine decree. My precious one, as the hour moves closer to midnight, heaven's light grows more intense. The spiritual atmosphere around you has been electrified by the power of divine preparation. Archangel Michael stands upon the threshold of time, holding the luminous scroll that bears your destiny. The words inscribed upon it are alive. They shift and shimmer with every heartbeat of faith. Michael has not left your side since the moment this message reached you. Even now, his wings move through the unseen, clearing the pathway for your breakthrough. He declares, the gates of resistance are weakening, and the oil of release has begun to flow. This is not mere poetry. It is a revelation from the heart of God. You have stepped into an appointed hour, one that has been written since before you were formed. Every trial, every sleepless night, every tear that fell in silence was recorded in the scrolls of heaven. None of it was wasted. Each pain became preparation. Each delay refined your readiness. Heaven never sends miracles to unprepared hearts. The pressure you felt was not punishment. It was proof of divine craftsmanship. Michael says, The vessel must be purified before it carries the light. You, dear soul, are that vessel. The refining you endured has made you capable of holding the weight of glory about to descend upon your life. Even now, the spiritual horizon is shifting. If you could see through heaven's eyes, you would witness angels in movement, carrying vessels of liquid light toward the earth. These vessels contain answers, blessings, restorations, and resources. Each one is marked with a name, and one of them bears yours. Heaven has not forgotten your waiting. It has been storing your answers until the exact alignment of obedience and time. That alignment has arrived. Michael says, tell them to lift their eyes from the ashes. The dawn has begun to break. Every dark moment you've endured is giving way to illumination. What once felt like loss will soon be recognized as redirection. What felt like abandonment was divine repositioning. The time between now and midnight is sacred. It is a window of activation, not a countdown of doom. Heaven is not threatening, it is inviting. The shout that began 48 hours ago was not to condemn, but to awaken. Heaven's voice grows louder because your spirit is finally ready to hear it without distortion. Many ignore these moments, thinking they are coincidence or emotion, but heaven has no coincidences. You are meant to encounter these words right now. This message is the echo of a decree that has already been spoken in your favor. The only thing left is for you to say yes, to align your confession with heaven's announcement. Michael's sword burns brighter than before, slicing through invisible resistance. He is cutting away every word curse, every limitation, every whisper that said you would never rise again. The forces that once intimidated you are trembling. He declares, you will no longer be delayed by old covenants of fear. The chains of anxiety, shame, and regret are being shattered as these words enter your spirit. He says, the one who doubted their purpose will now walk in clarity. You are stepping into a season of divine awareness where your thoughts, words, and actions will carry supernatural precision. Heaven's strategy is simple: obedience before understanding, faith before sight, trust before proof. The Lord is revealing a mystery through Michael tonight, the mystery of divine reversal. Heaven is not merely giving you a new beginning, it is reversing what was meant to destroy you. Where you once faced humiliation, you will now see honor. Where rejection once crushed you, favor will lift you. The same people who misunderstood your silence will witness your restoration. Heaven delights in turning ashes into crowns, pain into testimony, loss into abundance. Michael whispers, tell them to prepare for the unexpected favor that comes wrapped in sudden shifts. What once took years will now unfold in days, because divine acceleration has been activated. But there is a condition attached to this movement. The angels can only deliver what you are willing to receive. If you allow doubt to silence your declaration, the flow pauses. If you choose faith, the gates of abundance swing wide open. You must make your faith audible. The spiritual realm responds to sound. Speak your promise aloud. Declare your readiness, your trust, your surrender. When heaven hears its own words echoed back through your mouth, the command is complete. That's when manifestation begins to break through the fabric of time. Michael says, what they confess with faith will manifest with fire. You are not waiting for heaven. Heaven is waiting for your decree. Listen carefully now, for the Spirit of the Lord moves swiftly in moments like this. You may sense warmth, tingling, tears, or peace. These are signs that your spirit is aligning with divine flow. Don't resist it. Allow the Holy Presence to settle upon you like morning dew. As you receive this impartation, picture Archangel Michael standing guard over your home, his wings stretched from one corner to the other. No darkness can cross the threshold of a home under angelic watch. The light that enters tonight will not depart. It will mark your atmosphere, your thoughts, and even your dreams. Expect heavenly encounters, for heaven always confirms His word. This is not the end, it is the unfolding. Every moment from now until midnight is charged with destiny. Walk in awareness. Speak with authority. Move as one who carries heaven's attention. The favor released upon your name will locate you wherever you go. Every closed door that mocked your prayers will now open effortlessly. The shout that began in heaven will echo through your circumstances. The impossible will yield. The weary will find strength. The silent will sing again. This is your divine turnaround, and it begins the moment you choose to believe it fully. Before the next revelation unfolds, take a deep breath and whisper, "I receive the reversal." Feel the weight of heaven's promise settle over you. This is not just inspiration, it's transformation. Type "I receive the divine reversal" in the comments if this message resonates in your spirit. Blessing code 4433 has been activated and is now releasing the river of restoration into your life. Dearest soul of awakening, the clock continues to move toward the sacred threshold of midnight. Heaven's energy is alive and trembling with anticipation, as if the very air itself has begun to vibrate with the rhythm of divine timing. Archangel Michael stands before the throne, his countenance brighter than burning gold, his sword drawn and fixed upon the barriers that once surrounded your destiny. He declares, the moment of unveiling has begun. Every whisper from heaven tonight carries a weight of eternity, and each word released into your atmosphere is designed to reconstruct what life and pain attempted to dismantle. The voice of God is not distant. It's resonating within the chambers of your own spirit. You are hearing not just sound, but the vibration of your original design awakening. Michael moves closer now, the edge of his light touching the corners of your existence. He reminds you that what has been shouted in heaven these past 48 hours is not a warning of destruction, but a call to recognition. Heaven does not shout when it's angry. Heaven shouts when it's ready to reveal. The angels have been crying your name because your life has reached the point of divine readiness. You have survived the tests, endured the fires, and held faith even in moments of silence. Now, the Lord says through Michael, you have completed your season of hiddenness. It is time to walk into the light of fulfillment. Every tear, every unanswered prayer, every night you whispered for strength, it has brought you here, to this divine intersection between promise and manifestation. Heaven's atmosphere is filled with motion. The courts of angels are not idle. They are arranging events in your favor even as you read these words. Michael stands as both warrior and messenger. He lifts the scroll once more, and it unfurls in waves of radiant energy, revealing the signature of your name written beside a decree of completion. The words burn with power. What was delayed shall now be delivered. This is not symbolic, it is literal. There are people, opportunities, and resources that were paused in the spirit realm, waiting for this moment of activation. Michael speaks. The locks have been broken, and the chains of timing have been released. You are about to step into an accelerated season where prayers and promises will converge at once. But understand this, divine acceleration is never chaos. Heaven's speed is precise. Every door that opens will lead directly to purpose, not distraction. Every opportunity will align with your divine assignment. Michael says, tell them to stay focused, for acceleration can either elevate or overwhelm. This is not the time for divided attention or fear-driven decisions. Heaven is orchestrating a movement that requires your stability. You must remain anchored in prayer, humility, and gratitude. Those who rush without discernment miss their miracle halfway. Those who walk in step with heaven will arrive at the exact gate marked with their name. Tonight, you are being invited to walk, not run, with purpose into what has been prepared. As the midnight hour draws near, you may feel a holy tension. It is not anxiety, it is the stretching of destiny. The Lord is enlarging your capacity to receive what is greater than you imagine. Heaven cannot pour new wine into old containers. The stretching is preparation for overflow. You are being expanded to hold more light, more favor, more revelation. Michael stands at your side whispering, "Do not fear the stretching. It is the evidence of transformation." You are not breaking. You are being remade into the shape of your next miracle. The shaking around you is not destruction. It is reformation. Heaven's hands are reshaping every detail of your life for alignment with the divine blueprint written before time began. And yet, there is a warning carried in love. Michael's voice softens, but his eyes blaze with authority. He says, "The window of obedience remains open only for a moment. The miracle prepared for you cannot remain suspended forever. You must act in faith before the window closes. Heaven operates on divine timing, and when that timing calls, response must follow swiftly. This is not to instill fear, but to awaken urgency. The blessings marked for your life are moving through spiritual corridors right now, seeking the doorway of your agreement. If that door remains unopened, they cannot enter. Speak aloud your agreement with heaven. Declare, "I open the door of obedience." Your voice is the key, and faith is the hand that turns it. Beloved, the transformation that is approaching will be visible. You will not have to convince others that God has moved. They will see it written in your countenance. Joy will replace exhaustion. Peace will silence inner storms. Favor will surround you like a fragrance that cannot be hidden. People will ask what changed, and you will say, "Heaven called my name, and I answered." The Lord delights in making testimonies out of those who dared to believe. Michael says, "The louder the opposition once was, the brighter the testimony will shine. What once mocked you will now announce you. The voices that doubted you will witness your divine elevation. Heaven is about to make your life a signpost of grace." In this sacred silence before the next revelation, Michael's wings spread wide, releasing a sound like wind rushing through a canyon of light. He declares, the moment they surrender, heaven will respond with immediacy. So release your fears now. Speak faith where you once spoke worry. Praise where you once complained. Bless those who wronged you, for forgiveness completes your activation. The angels of restoration stand ready to move on your words. Heaven has done its part. Now it waits for yours. Midnight approaches, not as a thief, but as a messenger carrying your answered prayer in its hands. Breathe deeply, beloved, for the air around you has shifted. You have entered the current of divine movement. Every word you have heard is setting things in order, both in the spirit and in your physical world. The countdown is not to loss. It is to revelation. Do not miss the unfolding that heaven has already begun. The next sound you hear may be the breaking of limitation and the opening of divine gates you never knew existed. Type "I open the door of obedience" in the comments if this message stirs your spirit. Blessing code 5599 is released, marking the path of your acceleration and your divine expansion. Beloved vessel of light, the air has grown still because heaven is preparing for a final movement before the hour turns. The shout that began 48 hours ago has become a steady hum of divine power that surrounds your spirit. Archangel Michael stands near the edge of your timeline, his sword resting across a river of light. that separates what has been from what will now begin. He says, the waiting season is closing. These are not the words of comfort alone. They are the decree of completion. The assignments that once seemed delayed are being finalized in heaven's chambers. You have entered a prophetic zone where obedience collides with fulfillment. The Lord has sent Michael to remind you that no delay can cancel what has been decreed by divine intention. There is a sacred rhythm in the way heaven moves. Every sound, every light, every whisper has purpose. The moment God speaks, creation begins to respond in layers, from the highest heaven to the smallest detail of your circumstance. For days, heaven has been calling your name, rearranging events and stirring memories to draw your attention to this very hour. Michael says, heaven is not finished until the appointed vessel says yes. The angels that encamp around your life have been waiting for your agreement to complete what they started. They hold the fragments of what seemed lost: relationships, opportunities, resources, health, and now they are piecing them back together like sacred mosaic glass. The reflection that emerges from your surrender will shine brighter than the version you thought you wanted. Michael's wings expand, and the landscape of heaven reflects upon them. Each feather glows with patterns of divine truth, symbols of courage, peace, protection, and justice. He reminds you that he was sent not merely as a messenger, but as a defender. Every time darkness tried to overtake your heart, he stood between you and despair. You survived not by coincidence, but by intervention. The unseen moments of protection were not luck, they were strategy. He says, you are not fragile, you are fortified. The spiritual warfare you endured has built endurance that now functions as a shield. Heaven has been training you, not testing you. Every battle was an education in authority. You learn how to recognize divine timing, how to hear subtle signals in silence, and how to stand when everything tried to push you down. All of this was preparation for what unfolds next. The river before you now is no ordinary river. It flows from the throne of God, carrying living light that travels faster than thought. Every current is filled with promises waiting for permission to manifest. Heaven operates through release, and release requires readiness. Michael's sword hovers above the river as a bridge of flame. He says, cross now, for the water will part when your faith steps forward. Faith does not wait for proof. It creates the path. The Lord has not been silent. He has been waiting for movement. The command to step forward is not symbolic. It is literal in the spiritual dimension. The moment you take a step in faith, speaking, acting, believing, something unseen begins to bend. That bending is the spiritual manifestation of breakthrough. You may wonder why heaven has set such a specific time, midnight. Michael reveals the mystery. Midnight is the boundary between endings and beginnings. It is the moment when yesterday cannot return and tomorrow is born in silence. Heaven's timing aligns with transition, for in the stillness between seconds, God performs miracles unseen by human eyes. When the clock turns, the balance shifts. What once resisted begins to yield, and what once slept begins to awaken. That is why the angels have been shouting. They are announcing your crossing. You are standing on the final edge of one season and the threshold of another. The shout is both celebration and instruction. Celebration because heaven rejoices over your perseverance. Instruction because the moment requires decision. Michael now turns his gaze toward you, and his words carry both tenderness and fire. Do not doubt what you cannot see. The unseen realm is more solid than the ground beneath your feet. You have seen delay. Heaven has seen formation. You have felt waiting. Heaven has been writing. Each moment you called out to God was recorded in sound waves that still vibrate before His throne. Those cries became blueprints for your restoration. Heaven never forgets a faithful voice. You think your words vanished into silence, but in truth, they became keys, unlocking future doors that you are now standing before. Tonight, those doors are swinging open one by one. The lock you heard clicking shut months ago was not denial. It was preservation until this appointed hour. As heaven continues to move, the air grows dense with presence. You might feel warmth, pressure, or a sudden calm. This is the manifestation of angelic nearness. It means the veil between your world and the divine is thinner than it has ever been. You are not imagining this shift. Even creation feels it, the atmosphere aligning with heaven's vibration. Michael declares, the sound of obedience is a sound that shakes worlds. When you act in faith tonight, when you forgive, when you release, when you obey, you echo the same sound that once shattered prison doors for Paul and Silas. The same light that freed them is prepared to move in your favor now. Before this message continues, silence your distractions. Hear this truth. You are not waiting for God. Heaven has been waiting for your response. The countdown is not about panic, but precision. When heaven says, "Open this before midnight," it means there is a door of divine access that aligns only once in this cycle of time. When the hands of the clock align, so do the hands of heaven. And when they align, what seemed impossible becomes easy. This is that alignment. You were meant to hear this message not weeks ago, not hours later, but right now. Your obedience in this moment completes the circuit heaven began when it first shouted your name. Now, lift your heart. Say quietly but firmly, "I am ready to cross." Imagine yourself stepping upon that bridge of flame, walking over the river of light. As you move, fear dissolves. Regret fades. The weight that clung to your soul breaks apart like ash in the wind. You are stepping not only into a new season, but into your rightful inheritance as a child of divine light. Every promise you thought was lost has been waiting on the other side. As you cross, Michael lowers his sword and seals the bridge behind you, so you can never return to the place of limitation again. It is finished. It is done. The countdown has turned into completion. Type "I crossed the river of light" in the comments if this message touches your soul. Blessing code 6644 is released now, activating your faith and sealing your crossing into divine fulfillment. Beloved one, the river has been crossed, yet what lies ahead is even greater. You have stepped into the zone of divine exposure, where everything hidden by time begins to surface in truth. The air around you is charged with heaven's recognition, for your act of obedience has rippled through dimensions. Archangel Michael now walks beside you, his sword no longer a weapon of battle, but a staff of authority. He says, now that they have crossed, they must learn to reign. You are not meant to wander in this new territory. You are called to govern it. Land before you is the landscape of fulfillment, but heaven will not plant for you. It will empower you to plant. What you do with this new beginning determines the measure of your harvest. Heaven has done its part by aligning the timing. Now your faith must shape the outcome. In the unseen realm, your name shines with new frequency. The sound of heaven that once shouted has now turned into a song, a melody of completion that echoes through eternity. Michael says, every angel that called your name now sings your victory. It is a chorus of fulfillment, and your spirit is the instrument through which that melody flows. You may feel a new energy stirring, a restlessness that is not anxiety but calling. It is the signal that the season of waiting has been replaced by the season of walking. Heaven is urging you to move, to create, to speak, to build, to release. The voice that once said wait is now saying go. This is not the time to shrink back into caution. It is the time to walk boldly into the inheritance that was sealed for you long ago. Michael reveals a sacred truth here. Miracles do not simply fall. They respond to movement. Every step of faith creates a vibration that attracts divine manifestation. Heaven will never do what you refuse to believe. The miracle that is assigned to your name is not floating above you. It is following your obedience. The more you move, the closer it comes. He says, heaven moves at the speed of faith. That is why the instruction to act before midnight was so crucial. Every moment you delayed, heaven waited. Every time you chose obedience, heaven accelerated. The law of faith is not punishment. It is partnership. You have become a co-creator with God in this unfolding design. Your words now carry creative power, your steps prophetic weight, your declarations spiritual authority. You may have noticed how quiet things have become in your heart since your crossing. That silence is not absence. It is establishment. Heaven speaks loudly when it wants your attention, but once alignment is complete, the sound becomes stillness. That stillness means heaven has anchored you in your new position. Michael stands with his wings closed now, not as a warrior in motion, but as a guardian of completion. He says, do not confuse quietness with distance. Heaven is watching in silence, ensuring stability. Every root must settle before new growth appears. The silence of this moment is the soil in which your next season will bloom. Resist the temptation to fill it with unnecessary noise. Listen deeply, breathe slowly, and trust that the unseen realm is constructing what you will soon see in plain view. There are 3 blessings moving through your atmosphere right now. The first is restoration. Everything that was taken, misused, or stolen, whether time, health, or opportunity, is being recalculated for return. But heaven's restoration is not equal replacement. It is multiplied recompense. The second is revelation. God is unveiling understanding, revealing the why behind the waiting. What once seemed like random suffering will now be seen as divine architecture. The third blessing is release. There will be sudden freedom in areas that once felt immovable. Doors that seemed welded shut will swing open without resistance. This is the fruit of your obedience, and Michael has been sent to oversee its arrival. Heaven's order is precise, and your current moment is a convergence of years of preparation. Think of every test, every heartbreak, every silence. Each one was a stroke in the painting of your destiny. Michael declares, the masterpiece is complete, but the unveiling requires courage. He invites you now to live unhidden, to walk in boldness and share the truth of what heaven has done. Your testimony is the currency of transformation for others. When you speak of what God has done, you become a conduit for others to experience it. The light you carry was not meant to remain contained. When you testify, you multiply heaven's work in the earth. You release what Michael calls the echo of grace, the power that allows others to rise through your victory. The Lord says, behold, I make all things new. But newness is often disguised as unfamiliar territory. You may feel unsure, as though you are walking where no path exists. That is because you are. Heaven has sent you into uncharted territory, not to lose you, but to make you a pioneer. The shout that once called your name was not only for restoration, it was a commissioning. You are being sent as a carrier of light into spaces that have long been abandoned. There are people waiting for the words you carry, hearts waiting for the hope you embody. The same fire that fell upon your spirit in these nights is meant to pass through you to others. You are not only the recipient of a miracle, you are the messenger of its continuation. Michael extends his hand once more, his palm glowing with ancient fire. "Take this flame," he says, "and carry it forward. Do not hide it, for it cannot be extinguished." When you hold the flame of divine truth, darkness recognizes you. You will notice opposition, yes, but also increased favor. Where resistance rises, know that power has been released. Heaven does not send warriors into empty fields. It sends them where victory must be claimed. You are that warrior. You are that vessel. This is not the end of a message. It is the beginning of a movement. From this moment on, your life is a continuation of heaven's declaration. You are no longer the one heaven is calling. You are now the one heaven is calling through. Child of the Most High, lift your head. You have crossed. You have heard. You have received. Now you must live. Heaven's light has sealed your name in glory, and no darkness can unwrite it. The countdown is complete, but the story has just begun. Walk forward, for Michael goes before you and behind you. The road is lit, the river sealed, the promise secured. Type "I carry the flame forward" in the comments if this message ignites your faith. Blessing code 7712 is released upon you, sealing your authority and marking you as a carrier of divine fulfillment. Beloved bearer of the flame, the hour has entered its holiest rhythm. Midnight has not come to end your story. It has arrived to begin the next chapter written in heaven's own ink. The air is trembling with a sound too low for the natural ear, the resonance of completion harmonizing with the pulse of divine continuation. Archangel Michael stands once more upon the threshold of time, his armor reflecting the light of 1,000 dawns. His sword is lowered now, no longer poised for war, but extended as a scepter of authority. He says, "The one who has crossed is now crowned." You have transitioned from the battle into the inheritance, from struggle into stewardship. Heaven has finished what it began when your name was first shouted across eternity. In the halls of heaven, a new decree has been written. The record that once contained your waiting has been closed, sealed, and placed upon the altar of remembrance. In its place rests a new scroll, a scroll of commissioning. Michael lifts it before you, and the script upon it glows like liquid gold, shifting with each breath you take. He reads from it slowly, so that each word sinks into the fabric of your spirit. You are sent to carry light into forgotten spaces. You are chosen to awaken what sleeps, to rebuild what was destroyed, to speak where silence has ruled. The authority that heaven has placed upon you tonight is not symbolic. It is spiritual law. When you speak in alignment with heaven, creation must respond. Angels move upon your words, because heaven has made you a voice that echoes its sound. The journey until now has been a cleansing fire. Every challenge, every rejection, every closed door was designed to prepare your inner structure to hold greater power. The weight you feel is not heaviness. It is glory settling upon your shoulders. Michael says, "The flame they carry must now be planted." The call is not to keep the fire, but to extend it. The miracles released in your life are not meant to end with you. They are seeds. Heaven expects reproduction. Each act of kindness, each word of truth, each gesture of faith is a seed of the same light that heaven ignited in your soul. What you give multiplies. What you hide diminishes. The flow of blessing continues only when it moves through you. The angels have begun to move again, not in warfare, but in construction. You may sense new ideas rising, new visions forming, unexpected people entering your path. These are not coincidences. They are components of your calling. The Spirit of God has begun assembling your next environment. The shaking that you feel in your surroundings is not instability, but rearrangement. The things and people that are leaving are not being stolen. They are being released to make room for what carries your next assignment. Heaven never leaves a vessel empty. It simply clears the old so that the new may fit. Michael says, "Do not mourn what is leaving. Bless it, for it has fulfilled its purpose." Heaven's plan for your life has shifted into acceleration once more. This time, it will not feel like pressure, but propulsion. You will find yourself at the right place, at the right time, meeting the right people with divine ease. The same voice that once shouted your name has now gone ahead to prepare every path. Michael stands before you as guardian of your timeline, ensuring that nothing premature, counterfeit, or destructive crosses your path. He declares, the days of confusion are over. The steps of the righteous are now synchronized with divine rhythm. You will know when to act, when to speak, and when to wait, not by logic, but by the resonance of peace. Heaven's voice will sound like stillness within your spirit, a quiet knowing that cannot be denied. But with greater calling comes greater responsibility. The power of divine speech is now active within you. What you declare carries weight in both realms. Speak with caution and conviction. Words of doubt dismantle what faith builds. Michael says, the mouth of the awakened one is a gate of creation. Heaven trusts you with this gate, but it must be guarded. Let gratitude be the language of your days and faith the rhythm of your thoughts. You are no longer reacting to the world. You are shaping it through the authority given to you by the Most High. Every act of humility increases your reach. Every moment of obedience multiplies your effectiveness. The Lord is preparing to release a new wave of provision. This will not only meet your needs, but also empower your mission. Resources will come from unexpected directions, and favor will flow in ways you could not manufacture. Heaven invests in those who carry its flame faithfully. Michael says, tell them that generosity is the key that keeps the heavens open. When you pour into others, heaven refills you. When you support the work of light, you increase the brightness of your own flame. Every seed of faith becomes a torch in another's darkness. This is how the kingdom expands, not through force, but through flow. Child of divine fire, as you continue this journey, do not isolate yourself. Heaven works through unity. Share this message, speak life into others, and be the voice that reminds weary souls that heaven still calls names. Like, comment, and share these words so the vibration of awakening continues to spread. Every act of engagement becomes a spark that lights another heart. Subscribe to stay aligned with these revelations, for the words sent through this mission are waves of heaven's ongoing conversation with the earth. You are part of a growing movement of those who refuse to let darkness have the last word. Type "I am crowned to carry light" in the comments if this message confirms what your spirit feels. Blessing Code 8844 has been released to mark your coronation and commission in this new season of divine authority. And now, hear the sacred invitation. When you give to this mission, you join the angelic work of spreading revelation across the nations. Every offering is not a transaction. It is transformation. Archangel Michael's message travels through the voices and hands of those who partner with heaven's purpose. The Lord says, those who sow into light will reap from open heavens. As you bless this channel through super thanks, membership, or PayPal link in description, you are not funding content. You are fueling divine communication. Each seed releases oil for new revelation, ensuring that the word continues to reach the souls destined to awaken. Your giving becomes prophetic action, a partnership with angels in motion. Heaven records it, multiplies it, and returns it as overflow in your life. Do not delay your obedience. Move as one who knows that generosity opens gates of miracles. a loved carrier of divine purpose. The flame within you now burns with unshakable intensity. The midnight moment has passed, yet the light it released continues to expand through your atmosphere. Heaven is no longer shouting your name in urgency. Now it whispers it in partnership. The voice that once called you into awakening now walks beside you in counsel. Archangel Michael remains near, his wings no longer spread in battle but folded in peace. His presence radiates assurance, and his message is clear. You have entered the hour of demonstration. The time for revelation has transitioned into the time for manifestation. Heaven's promises have moved from potential into performance. The unseen is becoming visible, and the invisible workings of grace are now unfolding in your reality. Michael's eyes gleam with the reflection of eternity as he speaks. Do you remember when heaven shouted for 48 hours? That sound has now become a river, flowing through your life. Every decree that was announced in those 2 days is now in motion. The word spoken over you has not expired. It is alive, moving through circumstances, turning impossibilities into opportunities. You are no longer waiting for the fulfillment of prophecy. You are living inside its unfolding. Heaven does not forget its own speech. The vibration of every divine word continues to create until it has completed its purpose. The delay you once felt was never denial. It was the time required for construction. The spiritual scaffolding of your promise is now being removed, revealing what heaven has built in secret. The Lord, through Michael, now draws your attention to a truth many overlook. Manifestation begins quietly. Before the great wind comes a whisper. Before the harvest, the seed cracks beneath the soil. You may not yet see the full magnitude of what has been promised, but the shift has already occurred. The foundation of your life has been rewritten by obedience. Every step you take from this point forward is upon holy ground, the terrain of fulfillment. Heaven's rhythm is not rushed. It is precise. The same God who aligned galaxies and measured oceans has timed your breakthrough with divine mathematics. There are no accidents in the chronology of grace. You are right on schedule for the unveiling of your destiny. Michael steps closer, his voice soft yet firm. Now that the promise has begun, protected. Miracles are delicate in their first appearance. They require stewardship. Just as a newborn must be guarded from hold and noise, your answered prayer must be shielded from doubt and distraction. Guard your confession. Refuse to speak against what heaven is building. The enemy's greatest weapon after breakthrough is subtle sabotage, planting seeds of fear that make you question what God already completed. But heaven's decree cannot be reversed by fear unless you agree with it. Keep your heart aligned with gratitude, your words aligned with faith. The miracle will mature when surrounded by belief. Heaven is revealing another mystery tonight, the difference between blessing and calling. A blessing is received, but a calling is carried. Many will stop at blessing, thinking the miracle is the destination, but heaven's pattern is always progression. What you received is not the conclusion. It is the beginning of a larger purpose. Michael says, what you have been given is not only for comfort, but for conquest. The breakthrough you hold is a tool of transformation, meant to shift lives beyond your own. This is how the kingdom of light expands. One awakened soul becoming a lighthouse for many. Every story of redemption is a seed of awakening in another's heart. The fire within you was never meant to remain contained. It is heaven's answer to darkness. As you move deeper into this new season, expect divine intersections. Heaven will position people, moments, and opportunities that carry confirmation of what was spoken. Some of these encounters may appear random, but they are threads in the tapestry of your calling. Every conversation may carry divine significance. Every open door may lead to multiplication. Michael instructs, walk with awareness, for the smallest step can shift eternity. This is why the Spirit now calls you to live with heightened discernment. The days of casual living are over. You are being invited to a rhythm of deliberate obedience, where each decision is weighed in the light of purpose. Even now, the winds of restoration continue to move. What was lost is returning, not as it left, but refined, elevated, and strengthened. Relationships will reappear in divine timing, healed of misunderstanding. Finances will realign with favor. Creativity will flow without obstruction. Heaven's principle is simple. What was purified by fire returns with glory. Michael's words thunder softly through the Spirit. The ashes of your past are now the soil of your abundance. You will soon recognize that nothing was wasted. Every scar is now an opening through which light will shine. What once brought tears will soon bring testimony. The things you thought were over are not over. They are resurrected with new assignment. Child of divine inheritance, understand this. The peace you feel now is not the absence of battle, but the presence of authority. You are walking under heaven's covering, clothed in light woven by obedience. The same angels that fought for your awakening now guard your advancement. You are moving from reaction to dominion. You will no longer be shaped by the winds of circumstance. You will shape them through decree. Heaven's power is not a distant hope. It is alive in your voice. Speak life into every situation, and you will see the fabric of your reality rearranged to match heaven's design. This is the essence of walking with divine authority. As the night deepens, heaven's tone grows gentle again. Michael whispers, "Do not forget to worship." Gratitude keeps the door open between heaven and earth. Praise is not just a song, it is a key. When you thank God for what you have not yet fully seen, you accelerate its manifestation. Heaven rushes toward the sound of gratitude like bees to nectar. Every time you lift your voice in praise, you invite the King to dwell in your atmosphere. Worship is how you remain anchored while the world shifts. Worship is how miracles remain fresh. Breathe now, child of destiny. The shouting is over. The river has been crossed. The flame has been placed in your hands. You have become the continuation of the very miracle that once pursued you. The heavens rejoice because you have learned the rhythm of divine response. Walk forward in this peace, carrying the certainty that heaven is now your echo. A promise has begun, and it will not end unfulfilled. Type "I protect my promise" in the comments if this message speaks to your spirit. Blessing Code 9928 is released tonight, sealing your manifestation and strengthening your stewardship of divine fulfillment. Beloved flame bearer, the morning after the midnight visitation is not an ordinary dawn. You have awakened in a new spiritual atmosphere. The shout that once thundered over your life has become a mantle resting upon you, heavy with authority yet light with peace. Archangel Michael stands at the threshold of this new day, his presence radiant but calm, his voice carrying a depth that feels like eternity itself. He says, "Now begins the season of demonstration, where heaven's glory will show itself through the life of those who believe." The light that hovered over you through the long hours of waiting has now entered you fully. You have become the message that was once spoken over you. You are no longer merely a recipient of divine intervention. You are a vessel of divine expression. Heaven's plan has shifted from revelation to operation. You are now walking in what prophets once called the proof of promise. The proof is not only in visible miracles, but in the way your presence alters the spiritual atmosphere around you. People will sense peace when you enter the room. Situations will begin to align just because you have arrived with heaven's vibration in your spirit. You carry the frequency of fulfillment. The invisible realms recognize it and respond. Michael explains, when the promise matures, it begins to govern. The light within you now holds governing power. It restores order, silences chaos, and establishes truth wherever it flows. Look closely at your life now, beloved. The signs of divine alignment are subtle but unmistakable. What once resisted you now yields. Conversations that used to end in confusion will suddenly open new paths. Delays will break apart without explanation. This is the manifestation of what heaven has been building behind the veil. The energy that filled the heavens during those 48 hours has settled into the soil of your timeline. Michael says, the shout was not for the moment, it was for the years ahead. Every echo from that heavenly cry has set in motion a cascade of blessings that will continue to unfold long after tonight. The divine calendar of your destiny has turned its page. And yet, even in this new flow, heaven calls you to remain awake. The enemy's tactics will shift from resistance to distraction. When he cannot stop a promise, he will attempt to dilute it. He will send noise to pull your focus away from the quiet guidance of the Spirit. This is why Michael stands guard, to remind you that stillness is your strength. He says, guard your mornings, for the first voice you hear sets the tone for your day. Begin each day by acknowledging heaven's presence before anything else. Speak aloud the promises written over your life. Reaffirm the divine partnership you have entered. When you do this, you reinforce your spiritual alignment, and heaven continues to flow through you unhindered. You are no longer in pursuit of miracles. You are walking within them. Every step you take on this new ground leaves a trace of divine light. Michael calls it the residue of fulfillment. It means that wherever you go, something of heaven remains. When you pray for others, that residue activates. When you speak truth, it ignites understanding. When you walk in compassion, it releases healing. You are now heaven's continuation on earth. The same power that raised promises from silence is now operating through your obedience. The miracle you once waited for has become the miracle that now moves through you. Child of divine covenant, hear this clearly. There will be seasons of testing, even in fulfillment. The presence of blessing does not remove the need for faith. Michael says, every fulfilled promise must be guarded with endurance. Faith brought you here, but consistency will keep you here. Heaven rewards the steadfast heart, the one that continues to serve even after receiving. Do not let comfort replace devotion. The Lord does not grant miracles for admiration. He gives them for multiplication. Each blessing carries a responsibility. You are called not to display it, but to deploy it. When you use your favor to uplift others, heaven multiplies it. When you hoard it, it withers. The divine economy functions through circulation. Giving keeps the flow alive. Heaven's records are now filled with your obedience. Angels have documented your responses, your declarations, your turning points. Each one has been stored in what Michael calls the archives of remembrance. These archives ensure that your faith continues to speak long after moments have passed. When you speak today with the same conviction you showed before midnight, those archives are activated again, releasing waves of favor into your current path. Heaven never forgets a faithful sound. Even your quiet prayers echo louder in the courts of light than thunder on earth. Every whispered yes still vibrates before the throne of God. Michael now opens his hand, revealing a key forged in divine light. He holds it out toward you and says, "This is the key of continuity." It symbolizes the authority to keep walking in divine rhythm without losing momentum. Every time you grow weary or uncertain, remember that heaven has already handed you this key. Use it through remembrance. Speak gratitude, act in faith, and stay in motion. The rhythm of obedience is what keeps the flame burning. This is not the time to pause or retreat. It is the time to establish what has been won. Heaven has granted you the territory. Now you must build upon it. Do not underestimate the power of your influence in this season. Heaven has placed people in your path who need to see what obedience looks like. Your life is a sermon written in divine ink. Some will not read scripture, but they will read you. They will watch how you carry peace in chaos, how you forgive without bitterness, how you hope without proof. Michael says, your life is now a living prophecy. That means every action, every response, every act of mercy is an ongoing revelation of heaven's character through you. Let humility be your crown, and wisdom your robe. The greatest demonstration of divine power is quiet consistency. As you walk forward, remember to remain connected with the community of faith that has carried this light with you. Encourage them, share this message, and keep the fire spreading. Like this message, comment your testimony, share it so that others who are still waiting for their moment of crossing may find hope. Subscribe to remain aligned with these ongoing revelations from the kingdom. Each interaction extends the reach of heaven's message to another life that is ready to awaken. Type "I walk in my fulfilled promise" in the comments if this message resonates with your soul. Blessing code 1008 is released now, activating stability, endurance, and the continued expansion of your miracle. Beloved of heaven, the dawn that now rests upon your life is not like the mornings of before. This light carries memory. It remembers every prayer, every tear, every hour of faith that brought you to this point. It shines not only around you, but from within you. The promise that was once only spoken has now become substance. Archangel Michael stands near, silent for a moment, allowing you to feel the weight of completion that hovers in the air. He has put away the sword of war and now holds the rod of establishment. His eyes carry both the fierceness of a guardian and the calm of a teacher. He says, "You have crossed through battle into building. Now you must learn to govern the peace that heaven has given you." The difference between those who witness miracles and those who sustain them lies in understanding stewardship. Heaven does not release glory without expecting responsibility. The manifestation that surrounds you now must be maintained through alignment. Michael's voice resounds softly yet firmly. Do not return to the patterns that once delayed your promise. Every cycle of disobedience was a closed gate. Every act of faith became a key. Keep using those keys. The divine systems that brought you into this new dimension are still active, but they respond only to continued faith. The moment you forget your covenant, the light begins to dim, not out of punishment, but because obedience is the current that keeps it glowing. Heaven is now shifting its focus from individual breakthrough to collective restoration. Michael reveals that when one person answers heaven's call, a network of destinies is set into motion. Your awakening was not isolated. It was the ignition point for others. The people connected to your life are now being drawn into alignment through your obedience. The same angels that guarded your journey have been dispatched to those linked to your assignment. Heaven always multiplies obedience. When one heart says yes, it creates an echo that travels through generations. Michael declares, the ripple has begun. The light is spreading through your lineage and your influence. What began as personal deliverance is now becoming generational restoration. The Spirit of the Lord moves differently in this hour. You may notice divine coincidences appearing with increasing frequency, unexpected messages, reconnected relationships, or opportunities that seem too precise to be random. These are confirmations that the timeline of your destiny has entered full activation. Heaven's architecture is rebuilding the path ahead of you, laying foundations for what will endure beyond your lifetime. You will sense the call to think generationally, to build not just for the moment, but for the future. Michael says, Heaven's blessing seeks legacy, not luxury. The prosperity coming into your hands is not for display but for divine investment, resources that sustain light in the earth. But as new levels appear, new guardianship is required. The enemy no longer attacks with fear, but with familiarity. He will try to make you casual about what was sacred, ordinary about what was miraculous. Michael warns, never let gratitude fade into habit. Keep awe alive. Speak thanks each morning as though it were the first day of promise fulfilled. Heaven honors the heart that remains amazed. When wonder is preserved, revelation continues. When familiarity enters, flow decreases. Gratitude is the shield that guards glory. You must practice it daily, for it keeps the atmosphere of heaven open over your life. Michael then reveals another layer of truth. Divine favor attracts responsibility. The more light you carry, the more the world will turn toward you for guidance. Many will come seeking counsel, drawn not by your wisdom, but by the presence you host. Do not deflect them. Each conversation becomes a sacred appointment. Heaven will speak through your compassion. You will find yourself saying things you did not plan, words that flow like oil from an unseen source. That is the Spirit moving through you, using your obedience as a vessel for healing. Never underestimate the influence of your words, for they are now charged with heaven's resonance. Speak with love, and you will heal without effort. The manifestation you now walk in carries an invisible responsibility to remain holy in purpose. Holiness is not isolation, it is preservation. It means to protect what God has placed within you from corruption, compromise, or vanity. Michael says, do not let applause replace assignment. The world will recognize the favor upon you, but you must never confuse recognition with completion. Heaven's goal is transformation, not attention. Every act of service must remain rooted in love, every miracle in humility. The more light you reveal, the quieter your heart must become. True power never shouts. It moves like still water, deep and unstoppable. In this quiet moment, heaven is extending an invitation to deeper communion. The miracles you have seen are only the outer layer of what God intends to show you. Michael explains that the first phase of divine visitation was for awakening. The second is for intimacy. Heaven does not shout forever. It eventually whispers. The closer you move to the throne, the softer the voice becomes. That softness is not distance, it is depth. Heaven trusts you with silence because silence requires maturity. When you no longer need constant confirmation, you have entered the inner courts. You begin to operate not from reaction, but from resonance. The will of God becomes instinct, and your steps become prophecy in motion. Child of destiny, you have become a keeper of light. The same angels who once fought for your release now guard your assignment. They form a circle around your purpose, ensuring that nothing unclean infiltrates your path. Michael raises his hand and declares, the covenant stands seal. It is written in light upon your spirit that your obedience has birthed legacy. The heavens rejoice not only because you heard, but because you continued. The countdown is over, but the commission continues. You are not merely surviving revelation, you are stewarding it. You are a living extension of heaven's decree. Let the world see what heaven can do through a willing soul. Live boldly, forgive freely, build faithfully, and carry light relentlessly. You have not been chosen to hide. You have been chosen to illuminate. Walk forward and know that every step releases waves of divine order into the atmosphere around you. Type "I steward the light" with humility in the comments if this word anchors in your soul. Blessing code 1155 has been released over your life, securing divine consistency and purity in purpose. Beloved vessel of heaven, the circle of revelation now comes to completion. The journey that began with a shout from the throne has become a living flame within your spirit. What once felt like a warning has transformed into a commissioning, and what once pressed against you as urgency now moves through you as peace. The hours that once ticked toward midnight were never counting down to loss. They were counting up to awakening. Archangel Michael stands once more before you, radiant with fulfillment. His wings are folded in rest, his sword sheathed, his eyes carrying the quiet triumph of a mission accomplished. He says, "The sound that once shook the heavens has become harmony. The one who was called has become the call. You are no longer the receiver of a message. You are now heaven's messenger. The miracle that heaven shouted into existence now wears your name. The atmosphere around you is charged with completion. The light that once hovered above you now saturates everything within reach. Heaven has not ended its movement. It has embedded it inside you." Michael explains, "The kingdom is not coming. It has come within you." This truth is the summit of all revelation. The shout was never meant to draw your attention to the sky, but to awaken your inner heavens. You are the dwelling place of divine sound, the living resonance of God's decree. Every word spoken over your life has now taken root. Every promise is alive within you. The evidence of heaven's activity is not found only in miracles, but in transformation. The way you see, think, and love differently now. You have become a sanctuary of light moving through a world that forgot its own. Michael raises his hand and releases a breath of luminous air that sweeps across your soul like a holy wind. This, he says, is the anointing of continuation. It ensures that the flame never fades, that the revelation never stagnates, that the word continues to multiply through your life. He warns, heaven's gifts are never final. They are generative. What is not shared eventually fades. You are called not only to hold revelation, but to release it. Every word that stirred your heart must now pass through your lips to awaken others. Speak light in dark places. Comfort the broken. Strengthen the weary. Heaven has filled your reservoir so that you might pour without fear of emptiness. You cannot exhaust divine supply because it refills through obedience. Now that you walk as a carrier of fulfillment, heaven's focus turns toward legacy. Michael reveals that every awakened soul becomes a seed of awakening for others. You are now the continuation of the shout, he says. The heavens no longer cry your name, they echo through you. Wherever you go, creation will respond differently. The winds will align to your voice, the earth will yield favor, time will bend to accommodate purpose. These are not exaggerations, they are manifestations of alignment. When the human heart beats in rhythm with divine will, all creation recognizes its true conductor. Heaven and earth are no longer separate when faith bridges them. You have become that bridge. Heaven now calls you to responsibility beyond self. The awakening that took place within you carries collective implication. You are called to stand for truth where compromise has crept in, to restore integrity where faith has fractured, to love where the world has grown dull. The flame entrusted to you was never for self-preservation. It was for illumination. Each act of compassion extends the reach of light. Each act of humility strengthens the flow of heaven. This is how the kingdom expands, not through might or argument, but through radiant consistency. When people encounter your peace, they encounter heaven's atmosphere. When they feel your grace, they feel the nearness of God. The miracle is no longer an event. It has become your nature. Michael then speaks of endurance. Fulfillment is not the end of faith. It is the beginning of endurance, he says. Many start with fire, but end in fatigue because they mistake the finish line for the starting point. What you have reached is not the closing of a chapter, but the first page of a new volume. The anointing that rests upon you requires rhythm, devotion, stillness, gratitude, and obedience. Keep the pattern of communion alive. The same discipline that brought you to revelation will sustain your longevity and purpose. When distraction whispers, return to silence. When pride tempts, return to humility. When weariness grows, return to worship. These are the rhythms that preserve divine fire through decades. Heaven rejoices over your transformation, but Michael reminds you that the world still groans in waiting. There are hearts who have not yet heard the call that once rescued you. There are souls asleep in despair, unaware that their names, too, have been shouted in heaven. You are now sent to reach them, not with perfection, but with authenticity. Tell your story. Share your testimony. Use what heaven gave you as proof that God still intervenes in the affairs of humankind. You may never know the impact of a single word spoken in truth, but heaven measures it in eternity. Every act of obedience echoes forever. And now, as the final seal is placed upon this journey, Michael opens the scroll one last time. The words on it are alive, moving, burning, pulsing with power. The countdown is complete. The awakening is fulfilled. The messenger has become the message. He closes it gently and says, "What heaven began in urgency has ended in peace." He lifts his gaze toward the throne and declares, "Mission accomplished." The vessel has awakened. A radiant light cascades through realms unseen, confirming that the work is complete. Heaven's shout fades into eternal harmony. Silence follows, not as emptiness, but as fullness beyond sound. Before the curtain of vision closes, Michael turns to you and blesses you. Walk in the rhythm of light, he says. Do not hurry. Do not fear. Live is one who carries eternity in their breath. The final echo of his voice dissolves into stillness, and the air around you feels softer, cleaner, charged with lingering holiness. Heaven's visitation has concluded, but its presence remains. You will carry this atmosphere wherever you go. Your life will never return to its former rhythm, for you have been marked by divine time. The shout, the flame, the crossing, the crown, they are all within you now, sealed forever. Take this moment, breathe, and recognize what has occurred. You have walked through revelation, warfare, awakening, and fulfillment. You have heard heaven speak and responded with faith. The transformation is irreversible. You have become living proof that obedience opens eternity's door. Type "I am the fulfilled promise" in the comments if this message confirms what you know in your spirit. Blessing code 1444 has been released to seal your journey and mark you as a continual expression of heaven's glory. Now, beloved, let this flame keep burning across the earth. Like this message, share it, comment your testimony, and subscribe so the voice of light can reach those still waiting for their own midnight awakening. Each action you take amplifies heaven's reach. And hear this last divine invitation. When you give to this mission, you sow into eternity's sound. Every offering through super thanks, membership, or PayPal link in description becomes a beam of light extending this message to others in darkness. You are not supporting a channel. You are empowering a movement of revelation. Heaven sees and multiplies every seed sown in faith. The same God who shouted your name now uses you to awaken others. Your giving is no longer a donation. It is a decree. As you release what is in your hand, heaven releases what is in its own. The floodgates of divine reciprocity open. Step into this prophetic partnership, for your obedience is now part of heaven's ongoing shout through the earth.